The topic I wanted to jump into was one of what is not defined very well in the workers' compensation statute, but it is one of reasonableness. And I wanted to discuss this only because it really comes up in the context of knowing where you are geographically in front of what judge, knowing who the adversary is, knowing what you're going to be able to argue for. And one of the biggest examples I can give you, and I just had this happen to me, is that we have been fighting with an insurance company to try and get our client to go and see a hand specialist. And so we finally get to the point where they're going to agree to do it. So instead of, and the client lives in Mercer County, but instead of sending the client to a doctor in Mercer County, they're going to send my client to a doctor who's all the way up in Piscataway. Now, for any number of reasons, I jumped up and down and I explained why this is inappropriate. And I'm arguing that the judge that under the statute, the treatment has to be reasonable, and sending somebody when there's 5 different orthopedic groups within a 10-mile radius, sending somebody to Piscataway is just not appropriate, especially considering I know who the doctor is in Piscataway, and he's used by insurance companies to basically say nobody requires any treatment. So he's a cutoff guy. So I said to the judge, rather than going through this dance, rather than they're sending the client there, now knowing that they're going to do it, I'm sending my client to a different doctor because I'm going to need a doctor who's going to provide me a real opinion. And so I'm going to send my client to a real doctor. And then what's going to happen? We're going to come back to court. The insurance company is going to say, oh, this doctor says no treatment. And I'm going to say to the judge, this is exactly what I told you. This is exactly what I told you 2 months ago was going to happen. They're going to send the doctor. They're going to send this person up there. We're fighting about all this stuff. And the doctor says she don't need any treatment. By the way, this is a person who got her hand caught in a machine. She was working for a temp agency, but working at a specific property. So what happens? The temp agency says, we don't know this person. We don't know her. Not ours. Well, funny, we have a pay stub that says they were employed there, but the temp agent says, not us. So the property says, nope, not us. It wasn't our employee. It was the temp agencies. So we've been going around and around as to who actually insures this person. Now I finally get it to the point where I get a judge to assert himself just a little bit and force them to provide a doctor's evaluation. By the way, the judge ordered the temp agency to do that 3 months ago, and they still haven't done that. So we'll see how that plays out. But nonetheless, the insurance company is now going to send them to this doctor in Piscataway. And I can tell you, as sure as I'm sitting here talking to you guys, that this doctor is going to say, despite the fact that my client has had no treatment and her hand got caught in a machine, we're going to say doesn't need any medical treatment. I know it. So it becomes this ridiculous thing. It's not reasonable. But again, here is where we are. We have everybody's on Zoom. Nobody can make a call. Nobody can do anything, right? We want to be done as fast as we can, right? Rather than saying, hey, I'm here till 4:30. Go out in the hall, have your adjuster make a phone call. Let's get this done today. No. We're going to adjourn that. We're going to set this up there. I mean, it's crazy. Absolutely crazy. So now I got to go through this process. And it basically is so defeative of the entire way that this is supposed to operate. But here's where we are. So in terms of reasonableness, that's not reasonable. But you got to have the right judge. You got to be in the right spot. The insurance company is New Jersey manufacturers, so they don't care. Like most of them, they're not going to do anything. And when I followed up with an email and I said, look, why are you doing this? The answer I got was, well, that's what I was told to do. I'm like, okay, So now we're going to go do this song and dance and we're going to have a good time, right? It's insane. This is stuff, and it's interesting because this kind of shenanigans did not happen before COVID because we were in court. Because in court, you have the ability to say, you go out of my chambers, you have your adjuster make a phone call, and then you come back, and then we're going to go. All right. And then we'll wait 2 hours and we'll get a response. When it comes down to this is the daily fight. We are fighting about things that used to just happen. This is the nonsense that didn't happen. But we can get away with it. And the thing of it is the insurance companies' attorneys, they know they can get away with it. They can be as limited as they want to be. And they know that all it is just a cycle. It's just a cycle. It's just a 3-week increment, because nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to happen. Nobody's going to drop a hammer. Nothing's going to happen. And by the way, let me be very clear about something.